Hi, this is Debbie Bailey, and this is SeaWorld and the SR Orcas. And I know that we're all busy, and a lot of our attention spans aren't what they used to be, but I hope you'll enjoy this footage of the SR Orcas while I speak and tell you about a theory I have. As a lot of my friends know, I go undercover into SeaWorld San Diego. And in the last year, I have formed a theory. I'll have a lot more proof once I post the entire Orca Encounter show up on my page and share it. But I want to start at the beginning. And the beginning is when I went to see Ulysses in April of 2018 because of an article in SeaWorld of Hurt saying that he was sick or injured. I went to SeaWorld and everything had been the same as it was for decades. There were no changes to SeaWorld except for a couple of rides. There was one change, though. The tank Ulysses was in, and he was sick, and he was injured, in my opinion, had been renamed. It was no longer Dine with Shamu as it had been for decades. It was Dine with Orcas. Now, last month, 9 short months later, I hear another report about Keat, that he may be in trouble. So I go back, and the first thing that I see is that the icon, Shamu, in the front entrance had been removed. And I found that most peculiar. So I walk into SeaWorld, I'm handed a map, and I'm looking around and I'm looking at this map and I notice the Shamu shops have been renamed, the Shamu restaurants renamed, the Shamu rides renamed or closed. The stadium where the Orcas perform is no longer Shamu Stadium. In 9 short months, they have wiped out their origins, their past, their beginnings, because it is linked forever to the southern resident Orcas. They took about 200 of them out of the Puget Sound between the mid-60s and the mid-70s and completely wiped out a generation of them with the Penn Cove captures. Lolita being the lone survivor of that horrific event. And they want the public to forget all of that. There are links to the SR Orcas. It's very, very important to them. Because they have a plan. They have a not-profit behind them, too, to help them. First of all, in 3 SeaWorlds in the United States, there are about, 20 orcas left? They're dying, and they're dying quickly. SeaWorld needs more orcas. And number 2, the southern residents are starving to death. Because the men and the women with the power and the money to breach those 4 lower Snake River dams won't do it. They just want more power and more money, even though those dams are obsolete, outdated, and slated to be phased out anyway. They could breach them early, but they won't. So SeaWorld has this window of time, this opportunity to change their image. And I know that most of you do not go into SeaWorld, but I do. I do. Somebody has to. They don't let much out since Tilikum's death. Most of the news that we get about what's going on in there comes from people like Heather Murphy with Katina. They lied about Kayla My one video of Ulysses was all we had of him, and people wanted to argue mostly about whether that was Ulysses or Keat. I mean, it was just nuts. And while all this is going on, SeaWorld is transforming itself, and they're doing a heck of a job. The public's eating it up. They're believing it, that they're orca saviors, orca rescuers. I'm telling you, when I hear the phrase rescue, rehab, rehabilitation, and conservation, the hairs on the back of my neck stand up. I am truly afraid for them that they might actually pull this off, because you and I both know that if they get their hands on them, they will be deemed non-releasable. And I don't want that to happen. I've loved orcas since I was a 10-year-old kid. The first time I ever saw Shamu in 1968, the original Shamu. I don't know why, I made a connection to that orca. I loved that orca. While everybody was gawking over her and oohing and ahhing over her, I just felt sorry for her. And I could hear her cry. And I knew she was miserable and lonely and missing her family. What I didn't know when I was 10 was that they had to get by her mother to get to her. And her mother got in their way. So they harpooned her and killed her right in front of Shamu. And then grabbed her. Her mom gets killed right in front of her. They grab her and take her out of the ocean, plop her into a concrete tank, and wondered why she was such a miserable mess. She ended up biting a trainer in early 1971. They isolated her. You know, by then they had other orcas in the tank. But I remember going to SeaWorld in the summer of 1971, and she was gone. She was nowhere to be found. And they were introducing one of these orcas as Shamu. And after the show, I went to the trainer and I said, "What are you doing? Why are you introducing that orca as Shamu? That's not Shamu." And the trainer said to me, "Oh, honey, that is Shamu. You're just confused." Well, I might have been 13, but I wasn't confused, and I'm not confused now. There is something going on. But I'm telling you, watch this. What you're about to see isn't happening because of food deprivation. It isn't happening because of any other method to get them to do tricks. And it's not happening in a tank. It's happening between a wild orca and a human out of mutual respect and trust. And I know that you will appreciate seeing this. I just love it. Perfection. Look at that. Thank you.